But there are some hidden costs that I think everybody should be talking about, but they're not. So let's start off with the stamp. The stamp is about $14.99. You're going to need a stamp in order to notarize stuff. You can't notarize without a stamp. Secondly, you have your journal. I feel like it's very important to spend some money on a good journal. I prefer the modern journal just because it speeds up your process faster. It has all the documents that you will generally be using as a loan signing agent already pre-filled, so you can just check a box that you have. Next is your messenger bag for $25.99. It's gonna come in very handy if you're carrying around a lot of paper. It's good to be able to store it in a bag, and the messenger bag, you can get it for $25.99 on Amazon, and it's a lifesaver. Next is your printer. A dual tray printer can run around from $299 to $400. Now, when I was watching certain videos and learning about this in the beginning, certain people said that you can use a single tray laser jet printer, but I highly recommend against it. I had a laser jet single tray. It just makes your life so much harder. It's really easier when you have a dual tray printer. That way you can print things much faster. You can print the documents in one go instead of having to separate documents into legal, letter. Then you have to print out the letter, then switch out the paperwork, and then print out the legal. When if you have a dual tray printer, it's gonna print it out all in one shot. Next is your paper. You can get your letter paper for about $14.99. The legal paper is about $18.99, and you have to remember this is a recurring cost, and you're going to need a lot of paper. I recommend you buy it in bulk. You buy it in bulk, it comes cheaper. My first signing, I almost had a huge problem because I didn't buy enough paper, and I was running out of paper to print because there was a few issues. First paperwork came in, it was wrong, I had to reprint, and I hadn't bought enough paper. I was just shy of the amount of paper that I needed for that signing, especially being that you have to print one for yourself and one for the borrower. It takes up a lot of paper, and you're gonna want to have multiple stacks of paper. And remember, this is a recurring cost, $14.99 for the legal and about $18.99 for the letter. Switch it around. But yeah, it's a recurring cost. Don't forget that, and buy a lot. You're going to need it. Now the next one is a training course. I personally spent $800 on training there, and straight out the gate, you're not going to be making as many mistakes as you would if you didn't get the training course. I know there's a bunch of training courses out there saying that you have to have their training. It's not mandatory, but I highly recommend it, so you're not making those mistakes out the gate. $189 for the NNA certification. I don't recommend you getting the higher level tiers. I don't even know the price. At least in New Jersey it was $189 for the certification. All you need is a certification. You don't need all the extra bells and whistles. $69.95 for the page separator software. This is if you don't have a dual tray printer. Like I said before, I highly recommend that you get the dual tray printer. Trust me, it makes your life much easier. Here's what everyone fails to mention when they're talking about the cost to start up being a signing agent, and this is what I really wish somebody had told me. And I mean, it's common sense, you should know this yourself, but it's your gas. You're going to spend a lot of money on gas unless you have a Tesla or a Prius that is gas and electric. You're going to spend a lot of money on gas, so calculate for that and put some money aside just for car repairs. you're going to be driving around a lot and putting a lot of mileage on your car, so that may wear it down. It's gonna have some wear and tear. Lastly, please set money aside for taxes. Uncle Sam wants what's his. Don't get yourself surprised at the end of the year. Listen, you're self-employed, you're your own business, you have to pay taxes. So set aside some money from taxes. I'm not a CPA, I'm not going to tell you how much to set aside. Contact your CPA, contact your accountant, but just make sure you're setting your money aside for taxes, because Uncle Sam wants what's his and he doesn't like to share.